We have fire. It's burning down pretty good now. Just wasted all this time and effort. Let's give this another shot. Hello, welcome back to another episode from Pale Horse Survival and Tactical. I'm Bill. I'm glad you could join me. What you've been observing for a while is a project that came to me a while back. Actually came to me in a dream, and I've been kind of designing it in my head for about a month and a half now, and I finally decided to gather up some material up here and start working on it. So what it is, it's a treadle saw, and I built a framework for it, and it works pretty decent. It's not too bad. It takes some coordination between your hands and the pressure moving the piece that you're working on forward, and then working the treadle with your legs. So I was getting better with it the more I worked with it, but it works pretty decent. Every part of it is wild harvested except for the saw blade. It's just a 24-inch bow saw blade I picked up at the hardware store. And then I picked up some cheap cordage because I've just built this for demonstration purposes. I'm actually going to dismantle it and use the poles and the material for some other projects. Otherwise, if I was in a long-term off-grid living scenario, I'd probably use tarred bank line if I was going to put something together with the idea of keeping it for a long time. But then some paracord that I used on it also. And for the top, I used a bow, which is just a springy dead branch I found from a downed fir. That's over here on the side of my bushcraft camp. A big fir came down in one of the winter storms this past winter, and I went ahead and I harvested a fairly large branch that had a decent amount of spring to it. I'm using that as a power source on the top, so when I push down on the treadle, it bends, it bows, puts pressure, and then when I release the pressure with my foot on the treadle, it pulls it back up, so I get the push-pull action with the saw blade. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the camera off the tripod mount here, and we'll go around it, and I'll explain a few more things. Stay tuned. Okay, back over here to the saw. I was cutting a number of pieces, and you can see the sawdust down here on the ground. It works okay. It was just a brainstorm I had. I've been kind of on a tear to build primitive tools from natural resources, and like I said, this is just one of the ideas that actually came to me in a dream, and been kind of working on it in my head for a while, and so this is what I came up with. I constructed the whole thing with standard square lashings. The cord's junk. It's really crappy cord, but it kept wanting to unravel on me and everything, but I mean it's okay for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we'll start at the top here. This is the branch. It's a pretty good size, probably about 6 foot, and I went ahead and I strung it up with paracord. We're getting some glare from the sky here. There we go. Strung it up with paracord, and I attached paracord. I found the center point here. I lashed it to a top piece that goes across. Man, that glare's really washing this out. Here we go. Centerpiece that I lashed in between the tower here. And I ran a piece of paracord all the way across the bow, and then I folded the paracord in half to find the halfway point, then ran it again and marked the center point of the bow, and mounted this to the centerpiece here with a square lashing, and then I attached a piece of paracord down to the saw blade. And this is just a 24-inch. You see, I've been using it quite a bit. The coating's already coming off the blade here. I've been playing around with it for a while. I attached the paracord. Now these are key rings, standard key rings. Just provided a better mounting point, but the bottom one actually failed on me. So if anybody tries this, I recommend getting much beefier key rings, you know, as big as will fit in the holes here on the blade. I attached this with a bunt line hitch with 2 security half hitches. It held very well. Also, same story at the top here, where I connected this. You can see the spring in the bow here, pulling this back up. It actually worked really well, amazingly well. I pulled the paracord really tight when I strung the bow, as tight as I could get it, because paracord is dynamic. It'll stretch on you, and you can see the bow flexing here. So that's another bunt line hitch, 2 security half hitches, held very well. And then down here, when I constructed this during the observation phase, you seen a pine cone hanging from a piece of this crappy white cordage. I hooked that cordage up where the hitch point is for the paracord on the bowstring, right in the center point of the bow, and put a pine cone. There's pine cones all over out here, so I just used that, and that was an improvised plumb bob. I wanted to find a spot before I hitched this cross brace on. I wanted to find where that line is going to hang when the blade is on it, and so I marked the spot on both sides, hitched this up, double checked my alignment, and just cut a kerf in here with my folding saw. And that provides a backing for this this blade when you're putting pressure on it, when you're pushing a piece into the blade to cut it. And that actually worked really well. And then moving on down, this is the key ring, which obviously isn't on here right now, and I put that over there in the bag along with all the little trimmings and stuff here. I don't litter, so I take all that with me, obviously. But the key ring actually failed, so I went ahead and hitched it directly to the hole here, which this won't hold because it'll quickly wear through the paracord. So like I said, if you're going to do this, I would suggest getting a much thicker key ring on this. And stand by, I'll be back. I hear a noise over here in the woods. Alright, I'm back. Don't know exactly what that was. Thought somebody was coming into my bushcraft camp. Sound like somebody moving over there. Anyways, don't see anybody, so back to the project here. So yeah, if you're going to do that, I would get some much beefier key rings, and that's also another bunt line hitch with 2 security half hitches. They seem to hold very well. And down here, I just found a nice piece of deadfall. I notched both ends for the paracord, made a big loop, another bunt line hitch, 2 security half hitches on here. This is the treadle here. You can see how springy that is. I push down, it instantly just pulls my arm back up. It worked really well using the bow as a power source. And what I did here, this is just dental floss, and I used 2 whip lashings on this, and compression lashings, also known as whip lashings. And that was just so when there's pressure on here, this piece isn't going to split out on me. And it obviously seemed to work pretty well. That split was already in there. It's a piece of seasoned deadfall. It's kind of flat on top, so I figured it would work good as a treadle. And that's pretty much it, guys. Seemed to work all right. Another little brainstorm, and I cut a number of pieces out here. This is the piece you see me cutting there earlier. Also had a kind of a brainstorm if I cut 2 poles, deadfall, same diameter, lash them to the table here so they go right on the either side of the kerf, leaving a little gap. probably almost split a piece. In other words, you'd have support on those pieces, and you could feed it into the saw blade and cut a piece lengthwise. I'm not going to do that because I've been working on this a lot. Frankly, I'm tired. So I'm going to, it might be a project for another day, but when you decide to undertake a project like this, you might give that a try and see how it works. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it today. This is a fairly ambitious project here. Please like, subscribe, and share. I hope all of you are having an outstanding day or night, depending on where you're located, and I will see all of you very soon on the next one. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.